They actually turned the ancient god warriors into puppets. As soon as I entered the forest, I was surrounded by a group of puppets. Bloodveil, I'm here. Are you too scared to show yourself? After I finished speaking, there was suddenly silence all around. A hand slowly reached out from behind the tree. Could it be that you, two-footed beast, are actually bloodborne? Only to see that it was a cave goblin shaman. Under the blessing of secret arts, its attributes are extremely high, and it mistook me for bloodborne, so I decided to play along with it. At this moment, the rest of the goblins also emerged from behind the trees, but among them, there was one filled with hostility towards me. Bloodborne, don't you even have a puppet? It seems like these years of evading pursuit have not treated you well. The system also alerted me that this goblin was hostile towards me, so I had to find an opportunity to take it down first. Bloodwind, you're just narrow-minded. I go on adventures to find a path that can prolong our lives. You don't even have a puppet. You've turned yourself into a feeble two-footed beast. I'm going to kill you now. I've been waiting for this moment. I immediately summon Little Chirp from the shadows. I let Little Chirp handle Bloodwind, but that goblin also used secret arts. Spirit Shield. Meanwhile, I directly used different forms, same divinity, and boosted morale to enhance Little Chirp's abilities. But even so, I couldn't kill him with a single blow. It seems that without a boss skill, I can't finish him off in one hit. At this point, Bloodveil became anxious. I told them that I came back to find a way out together, but they questioned why I inflicted such heavy injuries on Bloodwind. I didn't care and said, he hates me so much that he'll become obedient if he gets hurt a little. Bloodveil immediately said, if you don't explain yourself clearly, don't expect to leave the forest. I just explained that there's a secret method that can enhance the strength of puppet monsters. Upon hearing this, Bloodveil became very curious. Feeling that I might be useful, he immediately lifted the hostile state towards me. Then I used the different forms, same divinity skill to boost the attributes of the puppets. They discovered that their puppet's strength had indeed increased. They asked me in confusion why I could achieve the amplification effect that only the altar had. I simply said that this is one of my many years of research. As soon as Bloodveil heard it was one of my research projects, he was shocked and asked, what other research do you have? Seeing that they took the bait, I continued by mentioning the longevity secret technique, and questioned them. Do you have any problem with me dealing with this waste now? The two goblins remained silent at this point. Then they expressed that their lifespans were almost over, and that we could talk things out. I told them that we could only have a proper conversation if they had no intentions against me, and I pointed to the item on my head, asking, do you know what I have on my head? Looking at the crown on my head, Bloodveil was shocked and said, is this the crown of the Goblin Prophet? As soon as they heard it was the crown of the Goblin Prophet, they immediately wanted to attack and snatch it. This is the reward from the great ancestor. Even if you snatch it, it's useless. You are already the Goblin Prophet. What more is there to say? Fools, who told you that there can only be one Goblin Prophet? As soon as Bloodveil heard this, he was stunned. That's right, I already know how to become the Goblin Prophet. I can do it, and so can you. But before that, you have to help me with something. Then I told them that parasitizing the ancient god warriors can also prolong life. They only just realized that humans can also be hosts. I thought that as long as they posed a threat to humans, I would be able to activate the mission, but nothing was activated. It seems like I need to take them to the ancient god camp to see. However, immediately after that, Bloodveil attacked his comrades. It turns out that Bloodveil had already cursed the puppets of those two goblins. He had known for a long time that these two goblins were secretly plotting against him. He took this opportunity to seize all their power for himself. And now that Bloodveil knew the method to prolong his life, his strength began to grow. But even if his strength increased, he wouldn't be a match for me and Lin Xiaoyun working together. After absorbing his comrades, his strength greatly increased. Keeping a monster that continuously enhances its power is always risky. I was considering whether or not to eliminate him on the spot. As a result, I received a system prompt that even if I fought Bloodveil with all my might, I wouldn't be his match. It seems that even with the help of Lin Xiaoyun and the others, we wouldn't be able to confront him. At this point, Bloodveil asked me what he needed to do. I told him that there are limits to the power of goblins. Bloodveil was well aware of this fact. I said that it was something I discovered when my lifespan was nearing its end. The prerequisite to becoming the Goblin Prophet is to become an ancient god warrior among the two-legged creatures. Upon hearing this method, Bloodveil became furious. Are you crazy? This is simply an insult to our goblin tribe. I would rather not do it if this is the method. Although he said this, I understood that he pursued power even at the expense of his own kind. It was just empty words. I told him that these ancient god warriors have mysterious ancient god protection, along with various magical items and skills. Even the forest goblins were wiped out. Upon hearing that the forest goblins were wiped out, Bloodveil was also shocked. Although individual forest goblins were not strong, they were numerous in quantity. I explained to him that it was because the ancient gods provide equipment to enhance the strength of the ancient god warriors, and there are also upgrade potions to break through limits. After completing a mission, I obtained the title and crown of the Goblin Prophet. I told him that as long as he continuously kills the savages of the tribe, gaining the recognition of the ancient gods, he can activate the mission and receive rewards. Bloodveil couldn't wait and asked me what to do. I asked him to follow me and kill the savages of the tribe until he gains the recognition of the ancient gods. At this point, Bloodveil was already eager to take action. Indeed, these individuals who seek power can be easily manipulated by targeting their desires. As soon as I finished speaking, he couldn't wait to become an ancient god warrior. I then demonstrated the items I obtained from the ancient gods to him, and then took some time to bring him back to the main city. After arriving at the main city, as expected, the mission was activated. Eliminate the evil goblin shaman, Bloodveil. Mission reward, Agatha's golden spirit chest. At the team's base at that moment, Lin Xiaoyun, who was practicing boxing, was still worried about how the mission was going since I had been away for so long. At that moment, Pan Wei, eating potato chips, calmly walked over, but suddenly his antenna reacted strongly, causing Pan Wei to vomit. He sensed that there was a very dangerous person approaching. Even when we killed the goblin shaman in the cave last time, his reaction wasn't this intense. He felt that the thing was about to enter the base. Then, a person appeared outside the base. It turned out to be me, returning with Bloodveil, and Pan Wei's antenna pointed strongly in my direction. Lin Xiaoyun guessed that the person next to me was a dangerous individual. To show friendliness, I let Bloodveil go over and greet them. However, Bloodveil expressed that these two teammates were too weak. When Bloodveil approached, I shook my head towards Lin Xiaoyun and the others, signaling them not to act recklessly. At this point, Bloodveil introduced himself. I am a new member of the team. Lin Xiaoyun then introduced Pan Wei as our team leader. But when Bloodveil reached out to greet Pan Wei's antenna instantly had a strong reaction, and he directly vomited a rainbow onto Bloodveil. Seeing this, Lin Xiaoyun immediately apologized to Bloodveil, saying that Pan Wei must have eaten something bad. Then, I took Bloodveil to the bathhouse to take a shower. While Bloodveil was bathing, I explained to Lin Xiaoyun and the others what had happened. Bloodveil is very powerful, and we wouldn't be able to deal with him on our own. But since the ancient gods only issue tasks and don't personally intervene, it means that this is an opponent we are capable of handling. Suddenly, I came up with an idea. During the mission, let him fight against other bosses, depleting his strength, while we just relax on the sidelines. When he becomes weak enough, then we can take action. We still have a chance. When Lin Xiaoyun and the others heard this, they realized that we had a powerful free fighter. Bloodveil thought that these foolish humans were being manipulated without realizing it, but little did he know that he was the one being manipulated. Arriving in a valley, we encountered a group of cave goblins. To provoke Bloodveil into action, whenever we encountered goblins along the way, we would hold a meeting to discuss strategies, pretending to be weak. Finally, the moment came when Bloodveil couldn't resist anymore. Facing these weak cave goblins, he can easily defeat them with a few moves. He didn't want to waste any more time. Then, he walked straight towards the cave goblins. The cave goblins immediately charged at him upon seeing this, but Bloodveil effortlessly dodged their attacks, and he unleashed two cursed arrows towards the cave goblins. The cave goblins, who relied solely on brute force, were no match for Bloodveil. He easily disposed of these creatures before him. This was just as I predicted. Once we trigger the mission, whoever kills the goblins earns points, so we just need to stay behind and let Bloodveil be our free fighter. However, Bloodveil found it quite strange. Previously, he could absorb a significant amount of energy and improve his strength by killing these barbarians, but now, he could absorb very little. He killed dozens of them on the way, but his strength didn't increase much. On the other hand, Pan Wei obtained a purple flying item. Then, they encountered an elite-level cave goblin. Bloodveil thought he could finally take a break, but before they even started fighting, Pan Wei and Lin Xiaoyun ran back in retreat, and I used the excuse that little Chirp's sister shouldn't show up casually to hide, leaving Bloodveil alone to face the elite-level cave goblin. At this critical moment, Bloodveil should have revealed his trump card, right? Indeed, with a furious roar, Bloodveil activated his blood transformation, and his power visibly surged at an incredible speed. He caught the cave goblin's hammer with one hand, then he pulverized the goblin's hammer using a powerful punch. At this point, Bloodveil awakened the state of soul possession, converting his spiritual attribute into power attribute. With a single punch, he defeated the elite-level cave goblin. Along the way, Pan Wei and Lin Xiaoyun obtained many equipment items, but Bloodveil remained empty-handed. At this point, Bloodveil also started to have some doubts. After fighting for so many days, why haven't I become an ancient god warrior yet? You know, It took me a long time to gain the favor of the ancient god. What's the rush for you? You've been secretly slacking off during this time, absorbing the blood energy of those barbarians. How can you accumulate enough merit like that? I'm doing this to increase my strength and make better contributions. Bloodveil also understood that I was using him, and he didn't trust me either. So, he has been secretly enhancing his strength. Based on my experience, the more dangerous the mission, the greater the chance of ancient god's approval. Listen to me. Bloodveil said that those goblins were too weak, and they didn't give him a chance to go all out. It seems I need to have Panway find more dangerous bosses for him to challenge. Under Panway's leadership, we arrived at a cave in the forest. He sensed a powerful aura coming from the cave, but it seemed someone had already beaten us to it. Bloodveil couldn't wait and said, "Anyone who hinders me from completing the mission will die." I told him not to be hasty, and we should go and see first. Arriving outside the cave, it was already occupied by Liu Keqi's team. No one was allowed to enter. Seeing this situation, Lin Xiaoyun intervened. "Leader, maybe we shouldn't forcefully intrude." At that moment, two individuals approached us. "Isn't this the guy who tried to deceive us for 400 points back then?" The people were Lei Zheng and Jin Qi. Seeing Lei Zheng provoking, Panway immediately retorted, "Who deceived whom? It was you who couldn't recognize a good deal." Jin Qi intervened to defuse the situation, saying, "Well, through this incident, we also got to know each other. Our Liu King team arrived here first, and according to our detection, there are many powerful cave goblins inside. We're concerned about unnecessary losses for everyone, so we didn't allow friends from other teams to enter." Faced with this explanation, Panway also expressed understanding and decided not to forcefully intrude. We bid them farewell and left, but at this moment, I noticed that Bloodveil's expression was unusual. It seemed like he had sensed something inside the cave. I asked Panway and Lin Xiaoyan to look around for any other trigger points. Meanwhile, I planned to have a separate conversation with Bloodveil. After separating from them, I asked Bloodveil if he had noticed something. Bloodveil wasn't willing to admit it. "Don't lie, it should be the thing we both know about inside." "Indeed, I can't deceive you. Your guess is correct. That mutated rock lizard should be in there." As expected, I managed to coax it out of him. I wonder if encountering the mutated rock lizard will trigger a mission. Back when we trained in the secrets of life magic together, we conducted various research by analyzing it. After we were driven away, the mutated rock lizard came under the control of those barbarians. Listening to him, it seems to be related to life magic. Bloodveil says that as long as we can snatch that rock lizard back, our knowledge of life magic will definitely advance further. But unfortunately, the passage is blocked by the two-legged creatures. How could these foolish two-legged creatures know the terrain as well as I do? Bloodveil led us through a secret passage and sneakily entered the cave. We encountered no obstacles along the way and made it in smoothly. Suddenly, Panway's hair stood on end. It seems that ahead is the location of that rock lizard. We squeezed through a crack in the wall, only to discover an unexpected hidden realm behind it. Not bad for a newcomer. You even knew about this secret passage. Seems like you understand the goblin's methods quite well. Faced with Panway's sudden praise, Bloodveil said it was merely something observed during studying their behavior. However, after this question, Bloodveil became even more cautious about hiding his identity. I guess Bloodveil's mind is now full of thoughts on how to conceal his identity. And beneath the cave where we came out, there is a monster sealed by chains. That's the rock lizard Bloodveil mentioned. Moreover, there's a magic array set up by Bloodveil below, restricting that rock lizard. From the attribute panel, I learned that this is a monster with powerful life magic that can quickly heal its opponents. It seems like I've found a candidate for my second contracted magical beast. But after entering, Bloodveil hesitated. He said it would be difficult to take away this lizard. Even a slight disturbance of the magic array would alert the cave leader. Feeling that the risk was too great, he planned to retreat. But how could I let such a good opportunity slip away? I immediately opened the shop to see if there was any way to make Bloodveil stay. That's when I discovered a long-distance sound transmission item. It can simulate any sound heard before and transmit it to a designated person. I immediately decided to spend 50 points to buy it. Then, I used this item to simulate the voice of an ancient god and transmit a message to Bloodveil. Upon hearing the voice, Bloodveil hurriedly asked Lin Xiaoyun if she heard anything, but only he could hear the voice. "Bloodveil, this is your test from me. I am pleased with the previous tests. Now it's your final test." Upon hearing that it was truly the voice of an ancient god, Bloodveil became extremely excited, and I immediately announced the task for Bloodveil to free the mutated rock lizard. As expected, Bloodveil fell into my trap without surprise. He immediately expressed his intention to rescue the mutated rock lizard with everyone else. I signaled to Panway with my eyes, and Panway immediately understood and went up to support Bloodveil. At this moment, the rock lizard sensed someone approaching. How rare it is to have humans appear in this cave. not as food. We told her that we came to rescue her, but she remained in a hostile state. It seems that the hatred from her torment cannot be offset even by my soft Rice King talent. Endura, we've come to free you from captivity. We received a mission from the ancient god to save you. Free me? Is this another new experiment, tempting me with freedom? To observe the impact of my emotional fluctuations on magical extraction? Although it's effective, once is enough. You must be the new experimental subjects developed by the cave goblins, right? Filthy manipulators of life's power. All of you, perish. After saying that, she ordered a group of cave goblins to attack us. The rock lizard summoned numerous cave goblins, who immediately charged towards us without hesitation. Upon seeing this, Pan Wei and Lin Xiaoyun moved forward to intercept. Bloodveil, witnessing Pan Wei and Lin Xiaoyun being so proactive, wondered if they had pretended to be weak before as a test for him. However, upon seeing that the two of them struggled to handle just one goblin, Bloodveil instructed me to deal with the rock lizard, while he took care of the cave goblins. With a confident stride, he charged out, once again using his curse arrows, causing the goblins to be struck one after another. The rock lizard felt a sense of familiarity upon seeing this spell, while the injured goblins immediately recovered under the rock lizard's healing magic. Do you think you can wear me down with the flame of life? I won't let you succeed. Then, Bloodveil increased the frequency of using curse arrows, easily knocking the cave goblins in front of him flying. This move is quite exhausting, but even with the healing support, they can't withstand such attacks. Finally, the rock lizard remembered why the skills in front of her were so familiar. The person in front of her was the one who had kidnapped and tormented her, the one who had brought her into this painful abyss. By this time, Bloodveil had already dealt with all the cave goblins in front of him, but the rock lizard's furious roar startled Bloodveil. Her lower body began to petrify, and energy fluctuations constantly emanated around her. Then, the previously defeated cave goblins came back to life. Even if I have to give up the freedom I desire most, I will tear you into 1,000 pieces. Bloodveil didn't expect the leader's skill of the rock lizard to be so powerful. Reviving the dead cave goblins, one of the goblins struck Bloodveil's protective shield with a hammer. Seeing that all the goblins' hatred was directed towards him, Bloodveil intended to use the opportunity to have me rescue the rock lizard. However, by that time, I had already used a multi-person teleportation scroll and left with Lin Xiaoyun and Pan Wei. Bloodveil, from the beginning, I wanted to use you. Now, this place is most suitable as your burial ground. Realizing that he had been used, Bloodveil became infuriated. But by the time he tried to stop me, I had already teleported away. Bloodveil, I remember that name. Today, you will die. Bloodveil's anger reached its peak, and a powerful surge of energy burst forth from within him. Unexpectedly, he still had an ace up his sleeve, unleashing his bloodthirsty power. Suddenly, he roared, "You all must die." We teleported to another cave, and, guided by Pan Wei's senses, secretly made our way back to the location of the rock lizard. We planned to take advantage of the weakened state of both Bloodveil and the rock lizard, to eliminate Bloodveil discreetly. But at that moment, another person secretly infiltrated the cave. It turned out to be Si Ruyang. Using his earth tunneling ability to sneak in, he happened to spot us in the cave, noticing our hurried movements, so he quietly followed to find out what was going on. Meanwhile, Bloodveil was still entangled with the rock lizard, and to our surprise, this Bloodveil had hidden abilities, and could confront 3 cave goblins empowered by the rock lizard. Just then, another cave goblin appeared behind him. Upon seeing this, Bloodveil gritted his teeth and let out a furious cry. A powerful surge of energy burst forth from within him once again. Both Bloodveil and the rock lizard were injured. How do you possess such power? You have severed their connection with the magic circle, rendering my healing magic useless against them. How is this possible? The rock lizard's attributes were declining, growing weaker and weaker. Don't forget that I'm also a shaman. If I hadn't been driven out of the tribe, I should have held the position of the great shaman. Magic is magic, and once you understand the principles, you can restrict its effects. Whether it's healing or enhancement, it has to be applied to the body. While I pierced through their bodies, I infused a portion of my life energy into theirs, creating a barrier of energy that hinders the connection of your magic. Although this almost depleted all my magic power, I can replenish it by draining you dry. You're going to die. I won't let you have your way. After all these years, you're still so disobedient. Before I drain you, how should I punish you? At that moment, the rock lizard clenched its fists, muttering some sort of incantation under its breath. But before Bloodveil could make a move, he suddenly felt his body out of control, and his vision began to fade. Eventually, he watched as the blood color gradually engulfed his field of vision, closing his eyes forever under my gaze. Endura, we arrived a little late. You've suffered, but it seems he still had concerns about me. He looked towards Pan Wei behind me, and Pan Wei was holding a flashlight, shining it at us. Quick, put it away. She seems to have noticed. It seems like it's too late now. Suddenly, the system panel displayed a prompt: Desecration of the Sanctuary of the Ancient Gods mission complete. Obtain Agatha's Golden Spirit Chest reward. Hope this chest contains a spirit potion. At this moment, the rock lizard said, I remember you, Bloodveil's filthy companion. I explained to her that I was not Bloodveil's companion, and told her the whole story of how everything started. Although she mostly believed what I said, the difficulty of the contract on her head remained challenging, and her status towards me remained hostile. It seems that even with the soft Rice King talent, there are still obstacles. This strategy is indeed quite challenging. Even if I save her life, she still remains hostile. I expressed to her that it's dangerous here, and suggested that we leave first. But as soon as I reached out to unlock her shackles, she immediately stopped me. Seeing me injured, Little Chirp was about to attack right away, but fortunately, I stopped her in time. I comforted Little Chirp, saying that she had been trapped in this cave for too long, and her action was just a reflex, not her fault. However, at that moment, she suddenly grabbed my hand and used a healing spell on me. I thought her gesture meant a change of heart, but the difficulty indicator above her head still showed difficult, and the system also hinted that it was just an act she was putting on. If it weren't for the system panel prompt, I would have almost been fooled, but it truly is miraculous. The wounds she healed in the palms of my hands show no trace of injury. Our rock lizard clan's healing magic is naturally this miraculous. Seeing her acting skills, it seems we're going to have a showdown of acting. Such surging life force. You've endured a lot over these years, haven't you? I didn't expect her to be completely unaffected. She just let go of my hand directly. Lin Xiaoyun on the cliff saw that I seemed to be facing a difficult situation, and Pan Wei also said he would come down to help me. At that moment, I heard Lin Xiaoyun say, Lin Hao, we've spent enough time here. For the sake of caution, it's better to leave quickly. I also agreed that we should leave as soon as possible. After all, this is the goblins' territory, and it would be troublesome if they came back. So, I said to the rock lizard, since Miss Endura can't believe our good intentions, then there's nothing we can do, Miss Endura. I can't let my companions be in danger. We'll take a step ahead. Seeing us about to leave, the rock lizard immediately couldn't hold back, and called out to stop us. What's the matter? Do you have something to say? You know, I didn't expect her to be shy, but I still wanted her to say it herself. Listen, since we're going the same way anyway, why don't I leave with you? Oh, I see. Then I had Little Chirp unlock all of her shackles. It seems there won't be an opportunity to make a contract with her in the short term, and it will be even more difficult if her weakened state recovers. We need to come up with a plan. Get ready to depart, Miss Endura. Looking at the throne in this magic circle, something feels wrong, but what I didn't know was that Si Ryang had been hiding under the throne using Earth Escape technique to observe. At this moment, Little Chirp raised her sickle and slashed towards the throne. Si Ryang thought he had been discovered and immediately curled up in fear. Then, Little Chirp split the throne into two, revealing it to be a simple decoration. I thought it might trigger some kind of quest. Hearing Pan Wei urging me to leave, I didn't have much doubt and left as well. In the silent goblin cave, Si Ryang slowly emerged from under the throne. Little Chirp's strike just narrowly missed Si Ryang, leaving him still in shock. Although I still don't understand what just happened, one thing I can be sure of is that he must be a dangerous guy. Just then, Lu Keki's voice came through Si Ryang's earpiece. Si Ryang, what have you done? It's incredible. We just made a breakthrough at the goblin front in the cave that we've been struggling with. The goblins in the cave are retreating. Looks like they're in trouble. We'll take advantage of this and pursue them. Perhaps it was because I killed a group of cave goblins and disrupted some unknown magic circle. Si Ryang didn't expect that he would get lucky again this time. And at this moment, we had just left the cave with Rock Lizard. Rock Lizard, who had been trapped in the cave for a long time, hadn't seen sunlight for a while. Being touched by the warmth of the sun again, she couldn't help but shed tears. Her expression of grievance. If someone who didn't know her saw her like this, they might genuinely feel sympathy. But with my talent in the game of life, I can easily see through her acting. She played the role so convincingly. If I hadn't been prepared, I might have been swayed too. What does she really want? If it's just for freedom, she could have just followed us out. Why go through the trouble of acting? Her weakened state won't last forever. Once she recovers, she can leave directly, and we can't stop her anyway. And at this moment, because we destroyed the magic circle, Lu Keki's people successfully stormed the goblin cave. Seeing so many people attacking the cave goblins, Rock Lizard curiously asked, "Are those also bipeds? Are they also entering the cave? Are you all together?" Seizing the opportunity, I lied to her, saying, "We are together, but we are not bipeds. You can call us ancient god warriors." To be able to save you, my teammates and I split into two groups. One part is attracting attention up front, while we take the opportunity to rescue you from the rear. Now you know our determination to save you, right? Listen to me till the end." Rock Lizard not only marveled at the meticulousness of our plan. No wonder she sensed an increase in the frequency of magic extraction from the magic circle before. It seems that the resurrection altar is operating in overload. Curiously, I asked her what the resurrection altar was, and she said, "It's a device that consolidates all goblin lives within the cave. Whenever a goblin dies, its energy is absorbed by the altar and it resurrects. This device uses me as a conduit to continuously extract energy to supply the altar for its continuous operation. But now that there is no conduit, the altar cannot function. It seems like this is a benefit I've given to ecchi, but after being used as a magical device for so many years, she should also have some understanding of traditional magic and life magic secrets, right? Since Bloodveil was able to research puppets and parasitic techniques from him, maybe she would too. If she wants to control us, then there's a reason for her to act like this." After rescuing Rock Lizard, as it was getting late, we had to camp outdoors. Pan Wei, who hadn't eaten anything for a day, kindly offered a satiety potion to Andura. Just by taking one satiety potion, a person won't feel hungry. I wondered if she would refuse to eat our food, but Andura took the satiety potion, examined it for a moment, and then swallowed it in one gulp. However, after just a second in her mouth, Andura instantly showed a troubled expression. Andura immediately spat it out. "Are you trying to kill me? This is the worst thing I've ever tasted. Don't you have a sense of taste?" I never expected Andura to have such a strong aversion to the potion. Could it be that these edible items from the ancient god are ineffective for monster girls? Poisoning her might not work either. At this moment, seeing Little Chirp, I suddenly remembered something I had discovered when I was eating grass before. I greeted them and then rode on the Nimbus cloud to find food for Andura. "Take care, big brother. Don't worry, Lin Hao said there's something delicious, so it must be really good." As I left, Andura had a meaningful expression on her face. Together with Little Chirp, we relied on our previous memory to go back to the place where I had eaten grass before, because it was there that Little Chirp had eaten a peculiar plant. After eating it, Little Chirp fell into a state of weakness. Through the panel, I noticed that Little Chirp's spiritual power had decreased significantly, but her other attributes remained unchanged. It took several days for Little Chirp to recover from that state. Every time she sees this kind of food, Little Chirp can't help but want to eat it. It seems that this plant has a strong attraction for monster girls. The main point is that this plant can suppress the spirits of monster girls, which can restrain Little Chirp. It should also be able to restrain Andura, with a mindset of giving it a try. As long as it works, the possibility of making a contract with Andura will increase. Just at that moment, Little Chirp pointed to the nearby bushes, as if she had found that plant. I searched through the bushes, and indeed found quite a few of them. I never expected there to be so many here. I immediately started collecting them, but when I turned around, I noticed that Little Chirp had taken the opportunity to eat some of these plants again, without me noticing. I immediately stopped her, saying, "Little Chirp, you shouldn't eat these. Even though they don't have a significant impact on you, it's still not good." After trying to persuade her for a while, Little Chirp agreed not to eat them anymore. After collecting for a while, I should have enough. Since we're out, let's go back to the city and open a treasure chest. Back at the base, I opened the spirit chest and indeed obtained a bottle of spirit potion. Now I can level up to level 2 in one go. After drinking the spirit potion, I smoothly maxed out my spirit attribute. Then I went to the potion area and bought a breakthrough potion and drank it. Finally, my level also reached level 2. Compared to the previous small improvements, this time I clearly felt that my mental vision became much clearer in an instant. With the bonuses from items and the base, my spiritual power attribute had reached 24. At this moment, the system suddenly unlocked a new skill for me, a passive skill called Monster Breeding Guidance. This skill prompts me on how to cultivate the monsters I have, avoiding wasting resources. Little Chirp's upgrade method is absorbing ancient spider relics. What exactly are these spider relics? Previously, when Little Chirp ate the Goblin Shaman's ornament, the panel also provided a similar hint. It seems like a direction for further consideration. But for now, the most important thing is to upgrade the contract magic for that Andura. After upgrading the contract magic from level 0, I bought a level 2 spirit training technique. It's about time to go back. Andura, who had been waiting for a long time, seemed to have started missing me. At this point, Lin Xiaoyun was very curious and asked Andura what she had been eating before. Andura replied, "A long time ago, I used to eat fruits from the forest, but after being captured, they made me eat raw meat to survive. I had no choice but to eat it. It's truly shameful. I wonder when I'll be able to eat something that brings me joy again." Just then, I returned to the campsite. I took out all the plants I had collected, seeing Andura devouring them eagerly. It seems she's just like Little Chirp. Panway curiously wanted to take one and taste if they really are that delicious. Endura immediately stopped him. The contract difficulty displayed on the top of her head also changed from difficult to normal. But even so, the status on the panel still showed hostile. It seems that as long as I can change her attitude from hostile to neutral, there will be a chance to form a contract with her. The pretending to be cold, healing me, shedding tears for freedom, exposing the weakness of being a foodie. Each step was taken to make us let our guard down. Now Panway and Lin Xiaoyun have completely gained trust in her. So, it should be my turn next. I saw her stretch lazily, indicating that she was tired and wanted to sleep. Then we took turns sleeping and keeping watch. And I have been observing every move of Endura, observing her reactions while she sleeps. It's possible that she has developed post-traumatic stress disorder after suffering torment in the cave for so long. It's quite normal, but I'm not someone who sympathizes easily with pitiful people. I could hear her continuously muttering in her sleep, saying, "She's coming, she's coming." Her body began to convulse, followed by a loud scream that startled both Panway and Lin Xiaoyun. She's having a nightmare. Seems like some very unpleasant memories. She's really good at acting. To be able to act like this even when her spirit is suppressed, truly worthy of being a level 2 monster girl. Helping others overcome their inner demons brings the hearts of both parties closer, leading to letting down one's guard. This is the opportunity that Endura wants. But human hearts are always mutual. In order to get close to our hearts, even Endura has to temporarily let go of her hostility towards us. And that's when I'll make my move. Immediately, I called Lin Xiaoyun and Panway to discuss how to reduce her contract difficulty, so that I can increase my chances of successfully contracting with her. After a while, Endura woke up in a dazed state, and suddenly realized that everyone was gone. Where are they? Why is everyone gone? After daybreak, Endura discovered that we were all gone. To abandon a lady in a place like this, humans really can't be relied upon. Luckily, I didn't have any expectations of them either. Endura thought that her acting had been discovered, but she also felt that her performance was so natural, it shouldn't have been detected. But at that moment, a scene before her eyes shocked her greatly. Panway was lying on the ground, surrounded by pools of blood. What could this possibly be? Could this wound be? Just then, I appeared with numerous injuries. And you guessed it right, that guy didn't die. He came here to seek revenge against us. Bloodveil first ambushed Panway. Little Yun was taken away by Bloodveil. It's unlikely to end well. Even my little chirp sister, Endura, couldn't believe what I was saying. She had clearly checked in the cave before, and Bloodveil had long lost his vitality. How could this be possible? But the immediate appearance of Bloodveil immediately dispelled her doubts. The fear that had been inflicted upon her before instantly flooded her mind. Weren't you already dead in the cave? Why would you appear here? Endura couldn't believe that the Bloodveil before her eyes was real, but he did emit the aura of Bloodveil. At that moment, I glanced at Endura's panel notification. She was truly terrified by the Bloodveil in front of her. Of course, if I didn't frighten her, then my act would be in vain. The Bloodveil before her eyes was actually Lin Xiaoyun disguised as him after taking the substitute medicine. I deliberately rushed forward to intervene at this moment, pretending to be unable to defeat him and being kicked away by Bloodveil. Endura was completely shocked by this scene. I immediately called out to Endura. "Endura, run quickly. Run? None of you can escape today." Endura hesitated for a moment, then turned and ran without looking back. "Well, you made me run anyway. Besides, there's no point in staying here, right?" Endura lacks loyalty. Watching Endura run away, Panway also wiped off his disguise. We need to make the performance more realistic now. At this point, Endura had already fled into the forest and hidden. I pretended to be thrown in by Bloodveil, barely clinging to life, while Lin Xiaoyun pretended to search nearby. Strange. Did she disappear? Endura ran fast, but she's still weak. She can't go far. Endura covered her mouth, not daring to make a sound. And at that moment, I lay dying before her eyes, and her gaze was filled with fear. I noticed that the difficulty of the contract above her head had dropped to easy, and the status on the panel had changed from hostile to neutral. It seems like the right time now. I feel so cold. Can I hold your hand before I die, Miss Endura? I reached out my hand to her, and as long as she touched it, the contract would be triggered. Without any surprises, she also reached out her hand to me. In the instant our hands touched, the mark on the back of my hand lit up. The contract was activated. Suddenly, a golden light burst forth. What is this? Endura hasn't fully realized what has happened yet. At this moment, Lin Xiaoyun and Panway stepped forward. They curiously asked if I had succeeded in the contract. I didn't expect it to be so easy to succeed in the contract. But we still need to find an excuse to deceive Endura. What are you still chatting about? One of you plays dead. One pretends to be Bloodveil. One tricks me into contracting. You're all liars. I want to be free. I don't want to be a contract beast. After Endura scolded us, she immediately turned and ran. A mere human trying to command me? I'm not some delicate little girl. But before Andura could run far, she was immediately teleported back by the magic circle. Andura, I haven't finished speaking yet. Once a contract magic is established, the contracted monster cannot be too far away from the contractor, so it's impossible for you to escape. Upon hearing this, Andura became furious and embarrassed. She immediately launched an attack towards me, but her attacks had no effect on me. Andura, even though I don't know how we successfully contracted, once the contract is established, the contractor cannot harm me. Upon hearing this, Andura collapsed in despair. At this moment, I pretended to ask her if she had tried to use some kind of mental magic to control me. Andura, who was caught off guard, looked nervous and hastily denied it. At that moment, Panway suddenly spoke up. I see. It must be that Miss Andura wanted to use mind control on our big brother, but our big brother's advanced contract magic caused his magic to counterattack automatically, resulting in Miss Andura being contracted instead. Well done, Panway. I didn't even need to speak, and he helped me cover it up. Andura also regretted it, saying she should have just run away without thinking. Judging by your reaction, it seems like I was right. My instincts are always accurate. Being exposed, Andura started acting again, crying. She said she was just a kind and pitiful lizard. Why did she encounter such cruel things? But Lin Xiaoyun and Pan Wei were no longer buying it. I wonder who just ran away without looking back. Whether you like it or not, we have already formed a contract, and that cannot be changed. You were the one who schemed against me first, so don't blame me. Undeterred, Andura kept trying to break the contract magic, but the contract magic of the ancient god and the magic used in this world are clearly not the same. How could Andura compete with the ancient god? After a whole night passed, Andura finally gave up resistance and approached me for negotiations, asking how she could terminate the contract. I've had enough of being enslaved. What do you want? I will give you anything I can as long as you give me my freedom back. Well, since you put it that way, freedom is possible. Is that so? What are your conditions? I need a powerful monster to assist me. As long as I find the next monster that suits me better and learn how to terminate the contract. Until then, you will serve me. Although Andura was reluctant, she had no other choice, so she reluctantly agreed to assist me until we found the next monster. Meanwhile, deep in the cave where the goblins were, Liu King's team successfully conquered the cave goblins. Liu Keki had planned to return to the base camp to rest, but at that moment, the ancient god issued a new mission: conquer the Goblin Kingdom. According to the ancient god's introduction, this mission was the real challenge. Mission objective: enter the Goblin Empire and familiarize oneself with it. All team members also received this mission trigger. It seems that anyone who participated in the Cave Goblin mission triggered this mission. The ancient god began to distribute rewards for the Cave Goblin mission. As expected, Liu Keki's team ranked first, but the second-place Furuai team caught Liu Keki's attention. He had previously investigated the competing teams, but hadn't paid attention to this team. However, he didn't pay much attention to it. Everyone, once again, our team, Liu King, has achieved the highest score and the best rewards. Below, the teammates immediately agreed. That's right, we are the strongest. So, we must continue to work hard and seize the initiative in the upcoming Goblin Empire mission. Team captains, take the fastest members and split up to investigate the location of the Goblin Kingdom. The rest of us will split into two groups. One group will advance beyond mountain to establish a new base camp, and the other group will return to the main city to exchange items and replenish supplies. After the team captains find the Goblin Kingdom, we will launch a full-scale attack to complete the next phase of the mission. Meanwhile, after settling the ancient god's mission, we received 1,500 points and a golden treasure chest. Pan Wei complained that the ancient god was stingy and gave too few points. But after all, our team only has 3 people, so we can't compare to big teams like Liu Keki's. But with fewer people, each person gets more points. Then we prepared to open the golden treasure chest and see what items we could get. A burst of golden light appeared, revealing a golden epic attribute item. It was a hypnosis type item that can control the opponent for 1 minute upon successful hypnosis. However, the success rate depends on the mental gap between the two parties, and it can be used 10 times. Pan Wei and Lin Xiaoyan thought this item was mediocre, because once the hypnosis is attacked, the target wakes up, and it can only hypnotize for 1 minute. But I don't think so. After all, it's an ancient god's reward. We just haven't found a suitable use for it yet. But now is not the time to study it. The upcoming new mission is more important. This mission doesn't mention any rewards, so entering the Goblin Kingdom should only be the beginning. The real big rewards will come with the subsequent activation tasks. However, Lin Xiaoyun also said that even though we have fewer people, we move faster. But Liu Keki's team has more people, so they are likely to find the Goblin Kingdom faster than us. At this moment, Pan Wei reminded us That is a native inhabitant. Endura should know the exact location of the Goblin Kingdom, right? I also reminded Endura, that is a contracted being. She can't lie to the contractor. With Endura's guidance, we quickly found the Goblin Kingdom. Unexpectedly, the Goblin Kingdom was much larger than we had imagined. At that moment, a new task was activated by the system. The first person to enter the Goblin Kingdom would receive a reward of 100 points. Thanks to Endura, we were the first to find the Goblin Kingdom. After finding the Goblin Empire, the sky had already darkened. We planned to rest and survey the surroundings. However, at that moment, I suddenly remembered something and asked Little Chirp to bring Endura out. Surprisingly, Endura was fast asleep. Hey, Endura, wake up quickly for me. Little Chirp, I need to ask Endura some questions. Can you protect Panway and the others for me? Seeing that I was taking Endura alone, Little Chirp became a bit jealous. Why would I favor Endura? Little Chirp, you have always been my most trusted partner. Why wouldn't I like you, Little Chirp? After listening to me, Little Chirp instantly felt better. I greeted Little Chirp and took Endura aside. What's the matter? Didn't I already bring you to the Goblin Kingdom? At that moment, I suddenly turned around and pressed Endura against a tree. This action startled Endura, making her at a loss for what to do. Speak up. What's the spell you've been hiding? How do you know? After all, you wanted to enslave us. It seemed difficult to accomplish, but you were so confident. You must have a trump card, right? Since we have decided to cooperate, shouldn't we be open and honest with each other? Endura conjured a green flame in her hand. Humans are indeed cunning. It seems that the method of planting the seed of life to gain your trust has never worked from the beginning. This spell is the result of my research on life magic based on the blood veil. Only those who I completely trust can successfully perform the spell. Then I can control their words and actions, making them my puppets. But this condition is too harsh. At first, I wanted to play the victim to gain your trust, but who knew it would turn out like this? Listening to it, although this condition is a bit harsh, if successful, it would be very powerful. As long as there is trust and the use of the hypnotic incense, that 1 minute, the casting condition can be fully met. But since I have figured out all of her tricks, she has become even more wary of me. But making her fear me is also a good way to use her power. I thought I could rely on Soft Rice King to be effective, but now it seems that Soft Rice King won't work. I have to become a scum man. After surveying for these few days, I found that the Goblin Empire is heavily guarded. Even the walls are built like fortresses. The aerial guards are also formidable, with a strong defense. Such impressive defenses leave no opportunity for us to take advantage of. After observing for a while, the patrol guards hardly have any gaps in their patrols. It seems that entering from above is also impossible. Moreover, the attributes of the patrol guards are quite formidable, although their individual abilities seem average. A group of them together would be troublesome. Seeing Pan Wei and Lin Xiaoyun returning with worried expressions, it seems like everyone had similar results. I investigated 2 city gates, and the guards were very alert. There was no chance to take advantage of the situation. Moreover, among the races coming in and out, I didn't see any race other than goblins. My findings were similar to Little Yun's. I even explored the surrounding walls, but I don't know what construction technique they used. They are incredibly solid, with no possibility of entry. If it was just entering, it wouldn't be a difficult problem. We could use substitute pills to bluff our way through. But the problem is I only have 1 pill left. Only one of us can go in. After discussing with Lin Xiaoyun and the others, we finally decided that I would consume the last substitute pill and infiltrate the Goblin Kingdom. At the entrance to the Goblin Kingdom, there was a sea of people, each holding something and queuing to enter. This time, I chose to transform into the appearance of a cave scout goblin to enter. Unexpectedly, I easily blended in. At this moment, the system panel also displayed a prompt. Mission completed. Reward, 150 points. You are the first ancient god warrior to enter the Goblin Kingdom. Extra reward, 50 points. Suddenly, the villagers inside the kingdom became excited, muttering that the prince and the high priest were on a tour, and they must grab a good spot. Who are the prince and the high priest? At that moment, a guard pushed the crowded villagers back, revealing a goblin covered in armor from head to toe. His spiritual power reached an astonishing 31 points. The system panel indicated that he was a temple magic selected priest guard, possessing supportive magic. On the other side was a goblin wielding a giant axe, with a strength of 30. The system indicated that he was the prince's personal guard, and there was animosity between him and the priest goblin. Suddenly, the goblin guards on both sides blew their horns simultaneously, shouting the titles of their respective leaders. 2 large sedan chairs slowly approached from the middle of the road, pulled by muscular goblins. However, the curtains of the sedan chairs blocked the view of the goblins inside, preventing me from using the information panel to detect them. But it seems that the internal affairs of this goblin kingdom are not very harmonious either. At this moment, the ancient god system popped up another system prompt: become the blade of goblin destruction. After completing the mission, rewards will be distributed based on the value of the caused turmoil. Then, suddenly, I felt a pair of eyes staring at me intently. The feeling of being watched sent chills down my spine. Could it be that I've been discovered? That momentary gaze was definitely not that simple. My substitute pill can deceive opponents below level 5. Could it be that this high priest's strength is already close to level 5? Just as I was about to leave here and reconsider, I was suddenly stopped by a goblin soldier blocking my path. He looked at me with disdain on his face and threw me out, saying, "What kind of country bumpkin dares to come and witness the glory of the two highnesses? Cave goblins should stay in their caves." Little Chirp watched me being humiliated and couldn't help herself, but I immediately reassured Little Chirp. After all, this is someone else's territory. It's better not to act impulsively. However, after we came out, Little Chirp was dissatisfied with Endura's actions of stopping her earlier. She raised her sickle and swung it at Endura. Endura kept dodging under the sickle, while continuously mocking Little Chirp. Endura's mockery fueled Little Chirp's hatred to the maximum. Without hesitation, Little Chirp unleashed her ultimate move. Oh, Little Chirp is really angry now, but facing Little Chirp's attack, Endura remained calm. He arrogantly taunted, "With your little sickle, what can you do even if you attack?" She waved her hand, and a magic circle appeared beneath her feet, activating her leader skill, Wisdom of the Earth Goddess. Barehanded, he managed to block Little Chirp's sickle, but before Little Chirp could feel happy, her wounds were instantly healed. Little Chirp, witnessing this scene, was shocked. The triumphant Endura taunted again, "Just average. If you don't use your leader skill, the speed at which you inflict damage on me won't even match my recovery speed." As soon as those words were spoken, Little Chirp's brain was engulfed by anger, and she immediately lost her rationality. She directly unleashed her leader skill, slashing towards Endura. Seeing this situation, I immediately realized things were not going well. Even Endura might not emerge unscathed from this skill. I immediately activated the power of the contract and hurriedly made Little Chirp stop her actions. "Little Chirp, my sister, you can't use the leader skill on your comrades. Both you and Endura are my partners, and I would feel heartbroken if either of you got hurt. Endura has a bad temper and is petty. Don't bother with immature monster girls like her. Hey, if you're going to badmouth me, can you do it from a distance? I can hear you." However, after the battle between Little Chirp and Endura, I realized that Little Chirp's current abilities were lacking. She can barely cope with the monsters ahead, but the goblin soldiers in the Goblin Kingdom are at the 3rd level, and she'll have a hard time dealing with them. I remember the previous system prompt that the spider relic is a necessary condition for Little Chirp's upgrade. The monster breeding guidance also mentioned multiple promotion routes for Little Chirp. Little Chirp's main focus is on agility and strength, and normally, she can only choose one attribute for further improvement. However, I discovered another evolutionary route called the Power of Faith. To upgrade this Power of Faith, it requires collecting faith and condensing it into the spider relic for breakthrough. Curiosity got the better of me, and I clicked on the method to gather the Power of Faith. It turns out that the Power of Faith needs to be materialized through a magic circle, and then transferred into Little Chirp through a medium. Among us, Endura is the only one who knows magic. Now there are many things that need to be done in the Goblin King City, and Little Chirp's upgrade can no longer be delayed. As for this Power of Faith, I do have a method. If it succeeds, Little Chirp's upgrade will no longer be a problem, and we might even be able to bring Pan Wei and Lin Xiaoyun into the Goblin Kingdom. I explained this idea to them. In the Goblin Kingdom, there are 2 factions, royalty and theocracy, and these 2 factions are at odds with each other. However, we can enter the game as a 3rd sect. If they are united internally, it would be difficult for us to intervene, but since they are wary of each other, we have room to maneuver. After much consideration, I finally decided to manifest it externally as the belief of Little Chirp. The true core of the sect revolves around Endura,